This past week, both the Texas men's and women's basketball teams struggled against the Iowa State Cyclones, and the NBA trade deadline gets us set for the second half of the NBA season. All this and more coming up on College Press Box. Good evening and welcome to College Press Box. Thank you for joining us on your Monday evening. I'm your host, Jaxie Pigeon, joined alongside Christine Taylor. We have a packed show for you tonight. Let's start out with Texas men's basketball.
This past Saturday, the team headed to Ames, Iowa to take on the Iowa State Cyclones. Let's take a look at the highlights. Getting started in Ames, redshirt junior Solomon Young makes a jumper in the paint to put the Cyclones on the board. Cyclones up 8, but sophomore Courtney Ramey buries a 3 to cut the lead to 5. Little under 8 minutes in the half, Razier Bolton drops in a layup to extend Iowa State's lead to 13. Ramey back at it again from behind the arc, sinks this one in. Cyclones senior guard Prentice Nixon getting it done for Iowa State. A glimmer of hope for Texas, down by 23 as freshman Brock Cunningham makes a layup to cut the Cyclones lead to 21. Under 8 to go in Ames, a fast break by freshman guard Caleb Grill sinks a 3. Texas answers with their own fast break with under 5 minutes to go as Ramey lays it up in the paint. And Iowa State does not stop with sophomore Nate Schuster getting to the rim, and moments later, George Condit with his own fast break and a dunk. That's going to put it to bed in Iowa as the Cyclones take this one 81-52.
Joining us now in the studio is men's basketball analyst Cameron Parker. Welcome back, Cameron. Now, Cameron, after losing by 29 points to Iowa State, is there still potential for this Texas men's basketball team?
Well, let me think of the easiest ways. No. Before the 4-game losing streak, there was already a slim chance of Texas making the tournament. But now after that 4-game losing streak, the only shot of them making it is winning the Big 12 tournament, and seeing Texas put together 1 or 2 straight wins, it seems very unlikely. And now with news that Jericho Sims is out for the foreseeable future, probably the entire season, Texas will most likely stumble to the finish line this season. After entering conference play with 10-2, they might finish the season with a losing record.
Right, and Jericho Sims being out, and that definitely puts a damper on this Texas team. And so with those injuries, it's definitely going to be hard for them to come back. But besides injuries, what are some factors that are leading to Texas losing streak?
Well, like you said, those injuries were really big, especially with that Baylor and Iowa State loss. Without Sims or Febres, you can't really expect this Texas team to win any games. But before that, it's all open for criticism. The offense has no identity. You don't know what they're doing out there. In late-game situations, they're running dribble handoffs. The only play I think Texas runs is the high pick and roll with Jericho Sims and Matt Coleman. So in a loaded conference, or in a Big 12 that's loaded with good coaching, that knows how to play good defense, it's not hard to figure out Shaka's offense, especially when you go against a coach like Bob Huggins. You're going to lose by 38 points on the road. Right,
and this team is definitely lacking identity, and so things are not looking too hot for the Horns, to say the least. But there is some discussion about whether or not this is Shaka Smart's fault. What do you think this season will show for Shaka?
Well, after that 4-game losing streak, I think his fate is sealed as Texas head coach. I don't think he'll come back. It was supposed to be an up year, but recently he had 2 blowout losses, 38 to West Virginia, 29 to Iowa State, who didn't have their best player, Tyrese Halliburton. He still got blown out on the road. And it was supposed, like I said, it was supposed to be an up year. Ramey was coming back. Febres was coming back. Sims was coming back. You hired Luke Yaklich, your defensive coach. The defense was supposed to be great. You beat Purdue the 2nd game of the season, number 23 on the road. We thought this is it. This is the Shaka team we thought we were going to see in his first few years. But now it's a new year, same Texas. His only tournament appearance came in his first year, and that was with Rick Barnes' players. Now the only thing that's going to save Shaka, or the only thing that might save Shaka right now, is his buyout, which is $12.9 million. But with that new stadium open up in a few years, Jackie, I don't think Chris Conte is going to want this product on that court.
Well, I guess only time will tell. Thanks, Cameron. When we come back, we will look at a Big 12 women's basketball matchup between Texas and Iowa State. Stick around, you won't want to miss it. Welcome back to College Press Box. This past Wednesday, Texas women's basketball took on the Iowa State Cyclones in Austin. I was at the Frank Irwin Center to give you more on this game.
This past Wednesday, the Longhorns took on the Iowa State Cyclones in Austin. The Cyclones were looking to bounce back from their loss to the Longhorns earlier this season. Iowa State's defense came ready to play in this game, forcing Texas to shoot just 26.9% from the field.
When they settled, we didn't. We got affected by our shot selection and affected by the ball just not going in. I mean, it just didn't go in tonight. And you have those kind of nights, and you have to be able to really dig deep, and we didn't have that tonight. I don't have an excuse at all. No excuses at all. This was a very poor performance on our part.
It was just one of those nights. Shots weren't falling. Shot selections weren't the best. It was just one of those nights. I mean, we played great. We played great at Iowa State, so it's just one of those games.
Our kids are tough-minded. Big win for us. Anytime you beat a team the caliber of Texas and a Karen Aston coach team, it's something to be proud of. And they had their way with us at our place, and today the ball bounced our way.
The Longhorns dropped their second consecutive home game on Wednesday night. Turning over the ball 19 times and committing 25 fouls definitely did not help Texas in their fight against the Cyclones.
We haven't been great at home at all. Our offense, it was a struggle tonight. Struggle to shoot the basketball. We turned the ball over too much early in the game. But as we went along, I thought we made better decisions, and it didn't go in. But we just couldn't control our effort really and attention to detail on the defensive end, and it snowballed on us pretty quick.
Although the game didn't go as planned for the Longhorns, senior guard Shaka Sutton was honored pregame for reaching the 1,000 career point milestone.
It felt amazing to be honored tonight with my teammates and coaches. Worked really hard to get to this position, so I'm really honored and really grateful for it.
The Longhorns will return to action on Saturday against the Kansas Jayhawks in hopes of restarting a win streak. From the Frank Irwin Center, I'm Jaxie Pigeon, TSTV Sports.
Joining me today is women's basketball analyst Clark Dalton. Clark, how are you doing?
I'm having a good Monday, and I'm excited to be on another great episode of Press Box.
Perfect. Let's jump right in then. The Longhorns struggled quite a bit in this game against Iowa State, making less than 30% of shots. What do you think is causing these struggles for Texas?
This has actually been a bit of a mystery lately because when you watch the tape, not many of these shots are attributed to poor shot selection, and generally Texas runs an offense that has a lot of motion, which means there's going to be open opportunities. So you have to dig just a little bit deeper. One aspect that stands out immediately is that Texas is playing with a 6-player rotation. Against Kansas State and Iowa, 6 players registered 20 minutes or more. When you have players running for that long over a period of multiple games, their endurance reaches a breaking point. And when you get to that breaking point, you just don't have the same spring in your arms, legs, and wrist, and that's why they're having a bit of a cold shooting streak right now.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see if they continue with that rotation. They won't be winning any games with exhausted players. However, not all of the players on the team have been having bad games. Charlie Collier got 17 points against Iowa State, and Joyner Holmes shot 17 points against Kansas. So, Clark, who do you think is the player on this team that will make the difference?
Charlie Collier has been excellent this season, but Shaka Sutton may be the key to turning Texas back around. Shaka Sutton is very versatile. She's a smooth playmaker. She's averaging 5 rebounds and 5 assists, and she's nominated for the Nancy Lieberman Award, which is given to the top point guard in the country. Even though she's a great distributor, it could actually be her scoring that is the key for Texas. For example, the last time Texas won a game, they were in Lubbock, where Sutton dropped 20, spurring a second-half comeback. Sutton has had 15 points or more 5 times this season. Those 5 times, Texas came out victorious. When she's knocking down shots, the offense's toolbox is expanded because you have a third option you can rely on to create opportunities for other players and someone to go to into the clutch.
Yeah, Shug definitely can turn this around for the team, so we'll have to see where that takes us. The NCAA tournament is quickly approaching with the first round starting on March 20th. Clark, where do you think Texas stands with relation to the tournament?
So right now, Texas is projected to play the Ohio State Buckeyes. And it's a very interesting matchup because both teams really mirror each other in terms of play style. They both run offenses that are based on getting to the basket, and they play defense that wears you down for 40 minutes. I think Texas has a slight edge at the guard position just because they have a little bit more experience. Even though they're in good position right now, I think they can actually bolster it because they have quality wins against opponents like Stanford. They're third in the Big 12, and there's still time for them to make a splash in the conference tournament. And if you do that with a strong finish at the end of the season, you can ride that wave of momentum and get 1 or 2 victories in March.
Well, we shall see what happens when the tournament approaches. Great analysis, Clark. Thank you for joining us. When we come back, TSTV's own Raul Rodriguez will bring you all you need to know about the aftermath of this year's NBA trade deadline. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Thanks for sticking with us. This year's NBA trade deadline ended on February 6th. Our very own Raul Rodriguez is here to recap the results.
Thank you, Jaxie. With the NBA trade deadline having passed almost 2 weeks ago, teams around the league are looking much different than they did at the start of the season. Some of the big names were shifted around the league, and now some teams are looking to be in prime position to make a run to the playoffs, while others weren't as lucky. With all the trades that went down, there are a few that could be big difference makers across the league, so let's get right into those. In the biggest news of the NBA trade deadline, D'Angelo Russell left the Golden State Warriors and went to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Russell joins longtime friend and star Karl Anthony Towns on a struggling Timberwolves team. Russell will be a nice complement to the Timberwolves, adding to their pick and roll game while also providing the team a lot of good looks on three-pointers. As you can see there, his points per game is averaging 23.6, his assists 6.2 assists per game, and three-point percentage is at .374. In the past 2 games, he put up at least 20 points in each with a double-double against the Hornets. With the 2 stars, Timberwolves look to have something to build on for the future. What helps also is the fact that they got rid of Andrew Wiggins, who was a huge contract headache for the Timberwolves. He had over $90 million left to be paid over 3 years through his contract. Now, Wiggins, who was considered a bust to the Timberwolves, is going to get a second chance to the Warriors, who have proven themselves in the last couple of years with 3 wins and 5 finals appearances. Wiggins' athleticism has never been questioned, and he has never really been able to transition into that next elite level of basketball play. And you would think, as a 2014 first-round pick, he'd do just that. Now, the Warriors are hoping that with the leadership of Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Steve Kerr, they can help this 6-year player transition into what it takes to become a star in the NBA. With Klay healthy and Steph healthy, you can only imagine that Andrew Wiggins will be getting a lot more open looks when on the court. Now, although he's not guaranteed to develop into this all-star that he was slated to be, this makes this trade probably the biggest gamble coming out of the entire deadline. Another more interesting trade that came out was the Miami Heat involved with the Memphis Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. The Heat only really struggled on defense this year, and they were able to capitalize on that fact by picking up Andre Iguodala, Jay Crowder, and Solomon Hill. Andre Iguodala is a 3-time NBA champion and 2-time all-defensive team selection. As you can see, in other people that were traded around, the Heat also gave up Justice Winslow, Dion Waiters, and they also were giving up James Johnson to the Timberwolves. When you look at the team, Andre Iguodala brings in a lot of veteran experience and postseason success to a team that is generally a pretty young one. Jay Crowder, on the other side, is also putting up huge numbers for the Heat, and he's showing everybody that an old man still got it. He has 54 points in 3 games. On the flip side, Justice Winslow is a very interesting player that's going to be headed to the Grizzlies, who have the potential Rookie of the Year, John Morant, on their team. Winslow, who's going to be who's expected to have a breakout season this year, unfortunately succumbed to a lot of injuries, and he hasn't been able to see the court as often as he'd like. Grizzlies bank that if Justice remains healthy, they can add to that firepower of a young team that's up and coming. So with that, you also look at the Atlanta Hawks, who made a lot of noise when they acquired Houston Rockets, which their 6'11" center, Clint Capella. With the 4-team trade, Houston got Jordan Bell and Robert Covington on their team, and now their starting 5 is looking a lot different than it did before. At center and also power forward, you're looking at P.J. Tucker. Robert Covington's coming in from the Timberwolves. Shooting forward, Eric Gordon, small forward Eric Gordon, shooting guard James Harden, and point guard Russell Westbrook are going to be on the team. And that's not the only thing that's going to be changing. The main thing is they're going to be switching from a center position team to a small ball style of play in hopes of letting that ride their momentum in this playoff run that they're embarking on. So, as for the Hawks, they needed a big man that could defend the rim, and Clint Capella made the perfect sense. He's a huge offensive player when it comes to driving in, and he's also got defensive expertise. He's 4th in the league, averaging 13.9 points on .69 shooting just this season. Capella was a solid backbone for the Houston Rockets on many of their deep playoff runs, and he's going to help a Hawks team develop a winning culture, something that they haven't seen for a while. Obviously, the Hawks' main issue right now is they're a pretty young team with 20-year-old Cam Reddish, 21-year-olds Trae Young and Kevin Herter, and 22-year-olds DeAndre Hunter and John Collins. Capella, coming in at 25 years old, is averaging 13.8 points per game, 13.8 rebounds per game, 1.8 blocks per game, and that's something the Hawks have been lacking throughout the season. Giving this young team a presence like Capella, Trae Young will have a lot more playmaking opportunities. He's going to be able to allow a lot more easy lobs off pick and rolls for Capella to finish to hopefully jumpstart the offense in Atlanta, which is already being led by Trae Young. He's already been proven to the league that he's an all-star. Once healthy, Capella is going to hope to make the jump with the Hawks, which right now sit 14th in the East, and hopefully he can elevate them to a position somewhere in the top 10. Capella is going to be contracted with the Hawks up until the 2023 season, which will give him and the Hawks much needed time to improve on all phases of the ball. Rounding off the trades, some more noticeable ones include Marcus Morris Sr. traveling across the country from the Knicks to the Clippers in what looks like a win-now situation for LA. Ex-Pistons star Andre Drummond is now a Cavalier and will look to improve what has been an awful season for Cleveland thus far. Other trades around the league don't have as much implications, but new players still mean new opportunities. With that being said, the league just got a whole lot more interesting. Christine and Jaxie, back to you.
Thanks, Raul. When we come back, Texas head basketball coach Shaka Smart talked to the media. Stick around, you won't want to miss it.
For the final time, welcome back into College Press Box. This morning, Texas head basketball coach Shaka Smart addressed the media and talked about the team's focus as they prepare to host the TCU Horned Frogs on Wednesday.
We have to be all that much better at the things that we can control. But can we win on Wednesday? Absolutely. And that's where our focus is going to be. Again, for our guys, maximum effort, staying connected, making sure that we do everything we can for everyone in our program to lose themselves in the fight. And then when that final buzzer sounds, if you do those things, you're going to feel pretty good about the result. And that's where our focus is.
This past weekend, Texas softball competed in the Puerto Vallarta College Challenge. On Saturday, number 6 Texas softball dropped a close exhibition contest to the Mexican Olympic team before beating Ole Miss 4-1. Senior pitcher Miranda Ellich was named Puerto Vallarta College Challenge second session most valuable player after going 2-0 in the circle with no earned runs and 4 hits allowed over 12 innings pitched. The Longhorns batted .356 as a team in Puerto Vallarta and outscored their opponents 22-3. Their next game will be this Wednesday against the University of North Texas in Austin.
The number 4 men's tennis team fell to number 13 Michigan 4-2 in the quarterfinals of the ITA National Indoor Championships on Saturday in Madison, Wisconsin. Texas took a 1-0 lead after winning the doubles point in a tiebreaker at number 2 by freshmen Jacob Bullard and Elliot Spizzeri, while freshman Cleve Harper provided the other point at number 6 singles. However, Michigan earned wins in singles to advance. The Longhorns will play a consolation match against number 8 Stanford on Sunday at 12 p.m.
On Thursday, the number 7 Texas women's tennis team claimed a 7-0 win against Air Force at the Texas Tennis Center. Senior twin sisters Anna and Bianca Tirati ran out to a 5-0 lead against the number 50 ranked pair of TJ Mafumagali and Nadine Lieberman. Texas won all 6 singles matches in straight sets to complete the sweep. On Sunday, the Longhorns had another 7-0 sweep victory over Brown University. Junior Fernanda Labrania finished off the sweep with a 6-2, 7-6 victory against Julia Newman on court 4 singles. Their next matchup will be against number 3 Stanford this Saturday at the Texas Tennis Center.
The number 1 Texas women's golf team finished 3rd at the Northrop Grumman Regional Challenge on Tuesday at Palos Verdes Golf Club. Freshman Sophie Guo tied for 7th overall with under par to 11 and marked her 3rd consecutive top 10 individual finish. Guo is currently ranked as the nation's number 1 collegiate golfer according to both Golf Week and GolfStat. Guo has competed in all 5 tournaments and 15 rounds for the Longhorns in the 2019-2020 season. The Longhorns return to action February 24th through 25th when they travel to the Woodlands, Texas to participate in the Icon Invitational.
The Texas track and field program closed out their split squad weekend on Saturday, posting a trio of top 16 NCAA marks at the Tiger Paw Invitational and the Husky Classic. Sophomore Kennedy Flannel opened her season with an impressive 22.93 in the women's 200-meter dash, which earned her a third-place finish as well as a number 4 spot on the NCAA list. In the men's triple jump, senior O'Brien Wassam improved his season best mark, clearing the 16.56 on his third attempt, and now sits at number 3 on the NCAA list. Next up for Texas is their 2020 Big 12 Indoor Championships, which will be held in Ames, Iowa on February 28th and 29th.
3 Texas volleyball players, juniors Breon Butler and Logan Eggleston, and rising sophomore Skylar Fields, are set to train with Team USA for the spring training camp in Anaheim, California over March 14th to 21st. Team USA will host Japan for a joint training session that week, and the two countries will engage in an exhibition match on March 20th at Santiago Canyon College in Orange, California. Texas will be the most represented university of the 16 athletes chosen with 3.
Now let's take a look at this week in Longhorn sports. On Tuesday, baseball will play UTSA at 6:30 p.m., which can be seen on LHN. On Thursday, baseball takes on Lamar at 4 p.m., which will also be seen on LHN. Softball will play in the Texas Invitational through Sunday, and men's basketball plays at TCU at 7 p.m., which can be seen on LHN. On Friday through Sunday, baseball will take on Boise State and Austin, which can be seen on LHN. On Saturday, track and field will be at the Alex Wilson Invitational in Indiana. Women's basketball plays Kansas State at noon. Men's basketball heads to Kansas to play Kansas State at 1 p.m. And women's tennis plays number 3 Stanford at 1 p.m. Lastly, on Sunday, men's tennis plays Nebraska at 11 a.m. and UTSA at 3:30 p.m.
And that wraps up the show for us tonight. From all of us here in studio and in Master Control, thanks for joining us on your Monday evening. Be sure to tune in to College Crossfire this Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and Want to Know Sports every Friday at 9 a.m. I'm Christine Taylor, joined alongside Jaxie Pigeon, and have a great rest of your evening.